It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero Wars Central, and in today's video, we're going to discuss the one of the last two pets that we haven't covered yet, and that is the pet Albus. So for you mobile players, this video unfortunately is not for you. Maybe someday these pets will come to mobile. Likely what will happen is if adventures and pets ever come to mobile, you all will get different pets. So stick around and hang out if you'd like, but this video is more for the Facebook players. Albus is a cute little baby dragon. I like dragons a lot. I grew up loving dragons. Actually, every book fair we had at our school, I would buy every dragon book I could find. There was just something about them, and a lot of my first full-on chapter books, or whatever you want to call it, anytime I had to do a book report on a fiction novel, or any of that, I kind of always were drawn to books with dragons in them. Really big fan of the Dragonlance series of novels through middle school and high school, and that's kind of what led me to play these fantasy role-playing type games. Interesting insight into my childhood, I guess. But onto the video. So you have Albus here, and Albus is unique in that he doesn't really fit into every team. Some of the other pets are, good general purpose pets, but Albus is really only good for pure damage type heroes, which does limit his usefulness to certain teams. But there's enough pure damage heroes that you could probably find a room for him. Let's talk about his team skills first, and then we will talk about what he brings to individual heroes that he could be patroned to. So his first skill, his gray ability, is Breath of the Agents, and this breath damage weapon strikes the enemy with the highest health, dealing pure damage. So pure damage obviously is something that everyone wants, as pure damage ignores armor and it ignores magic defense. So this goes straight to the enemy's health total. Now it also hits the enemy with the highest health, so maybe not the most beneficial skill, as enemies with the highest health tend to have very, very, very deep health pools that can be quickly healed back up with the right healer on the opponent's team. So it's hard to say what this ability is really going to do for you. It does do 182,103 damage at max. So 182,000 damage is a lot of damage. So it could help, but a lot of tanks have way more health than that. Okay, a lot of support heroes do too. Green ability is concentration, and this actually modifies it a little bit. Okay, so Breath of the Ancients now takes 3 seconds to charge and gains bonus damage depending on all pure damage dealt to the enemy team while the skill is charging. So if you have one or two pure damage dealing heroes, poison damage over time, or just straight hits damage over time, it depends. Maybe Kira, maybe maybe a couple of the poison heroes like Yasmin, or a couple of the other ones. In that 3 second window, the first ability, Breath of the Ancients, will increase its damage by 150.2% of that damage. So 3 second window at max plus 150.2%. So it's this skill is kind of hard to do the math on, but some of the big damage dealing heroes like Kira, that does a ton of area of effect damage with every basic attack. This would be very beneficial to have on a team like that. All right, so 150%, 150.2, percent of damage. Let's say you do an extra, an extra 50k damage in those 3 seconds. Then 150% of that is 75,000. That makes your Breath of the Ancients ability, which did 182, do something in the neighborhood of 260 to 270,000 damage. That's a lot. That is a lot of damage on one hit. You pair this hero with somebody like Ishmael. You pair this pet with somebody like Ishmael or Ching Mao, somebody that hits really hard on that front end of the enemy team. You could take the enemy tank out of the fight quicker than they know what to do. Very interesting build ideas with Albus. Kind of misunderstood, in my opinion. So when it comes to the patron and who you can stick him on, the stats that Albus gives is magic attack and physical attack. And the reason why they do this is because there are many kinds of heroes that can do pure damage, both magical heroes and physical heroes. Those pure damage skills are modified by those heroes' physical attack or magic attack, depending on which hero we're talking about. So because Albus is kind of a catch-all for pure damage heroes, he will provide, Albus is definitely he. Albus will provide magic attack and physical attack to the patron hero, and that's 7,150 magic attack or 5,005 physical attack at max level. Pretty solid amount of plus attack. It's not a ton, but then again, since we're not dealing with damage that can be mitigated by armor or magic defense, every point of attack and every point of magic attack really stacks up. And it is worth mentioning that Albus does have 46,411 armor penetration of his own, which is kind of peculiar. Because he does pure damage. His attacks are pure damage. So I don't really know why. I guess they had to give him a stat, so that's just what they give him. A good mix of heroes to patron him too. You can see you have all the top poison heroes. You have a couple of heroes that maybe you wouldn't think to patron him to. I really like putting Albus on your primary damage dealer in the case of Yasmin or Leon or Kira obviously is a good choice. A lot of great damage dealing heroes on this team. Not a whole lot of mage team heroes. You might throw in a Maya or a Leon or a Sebastian onto your mage team, but you can see here that the vast majority of these heroes are physical heroes. You have Galahad, Shaba as tanks, of course. Cleave Daddy down here at the bottom left. You have a lot of dodge heroes in here as well. In Heidi, Qingmao, Yasmin. The only mage damage dealing hero on here, you could look at Leon, who kind of fits in more of a control oriented setup. You have Arachne and Phobos, who are more control oriented as well. Maya, I guess Maya is a mage. I keep forgetting Maya is more of a mage than she is a healer. But a lot of good opportunities here. What I'm personally going to be doing with Albus, since I'm building a dodge team on my new Facebook account, instead of putting Kane on Yasmin, because Yasmin's my main damage dealer on that team, I'm going to use Kane on Yasmin, and we haven't done a video on Kane yet, but I'm going to use Kane on Yasmin unless I'm going up against a magic damage team. And if I'm going up against a magic damage team who doesn't force me to dodge a lot of attacks because they're magic damage instead of physical damage based, I'll probably throw Albus on instead. But what does that patroned skill do? So Pure Victory is the skill that Albus gets at Violet. This just increases the pure damage dealt by the master, and it's a plus percentage. It's just a flat 55.2% bonus damage to all pure damage dealt by the master. So it adds up pretty quickly whenever you're looking at damage over time attacks, like what Yasmin does with her poison, like what Heidi does with his poison. A lot of these damage over time, if you can get them going, if you can get them rolling and stacked up multiple times, this ability will increase significantly greater than just single attack abilities like Galahad's ability or maybe Leon's ability. Kira would also be a solid choice to put Albus on, although depending on who you're going up against, Fenris might be a way better choice overall for Kira, since I believe Kira can use Fenris's ability on multiple heroes at once. So it really just depends on who you're going up against. Ultimately, you can put a pet on every single hero in your team, and as you can see here, unless you're a pure magic team like with the twins or Dorian, Orion, Helios, Albus is a good pet to level up. The first choice depends on your team, probably not, but definitely in the top 3 to 5 that you should be leveling up. Great all-around pet, and like I said, aesthetically, I love Albus. So that is the second to last pet that we're going to do. We're going to do one more video talking about Kane. I kind of fell in love with the idea of Kane, but once the dodge energy changes went into effect on Facebook, couple of months ago, it became pretty obvious that Kane plus Dodge Hero is going to be kind of broken no matter who you're going up against, so long as that Dodge Hero is in the front half of your team. And we'll talk about that in the Kane video. But for now, check out these other pet videos if you missed them. I did do a catch-all pet video first, so check that one out as well. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.